1 year after the fall of the Verax Empire, Earth was healing. The scars of invasion still marked its surface, but new cities rose from the ruins. Advanced technology from both human colonies and the Concordat accelerated the recovery process. President Laura Sanders stood at the podium in the newly built Galactic Council chamber in Geneva. Representatives from 27 species filled the room. The 17 members of the Concordat, the 5 former slave species of the Verax, and 5 human colony worlds that had emerged from hiding. 1 year ago, our worlds were divided. President Sanders began. The Verax sought dominance. The Concordat sought stability. Humanity sought survival. Today, we seek something new, a future built together. Among the audience, Commander Olivia Martinez sat next to Ambassador Nick Svar. Both had been key architects of the alliance that defeated the Verax. Now they led the joint Human-Alien Research Initiative that studied the ancient technologies discovered in the Emperor's vaults. The old principle that guided our interactions was simple, Sanders continued. Don't disturb the humans. It was born from caution and observation. But it also kept us apart when we could have been learning from each other. She looked around the room, making eye contact with representatives from each species. I propose a new doctrine to guide us forward. Advancement through adversity, peace through respect. We have learned that challenges make us stronger, but only if we face them together. And lasting peace comes not from fear, but from mutual understanding. The chamber erupted in applause. Even Elder Moros, who had lived through centuries of Concordat history, nodded in approval. After the ceremony, Dr. Nathan Collins walked through the halls of the former Verax Imperial Archives. As the lead human researcher assigned to study Verax history, he had spent months sorting through millennia of records. Dr. Collins, his assistant, called. I think you should see this. In a sealed chamber deep within the archives, they had discovered something disturbing. Detailed star charts of a region beyond the galactic rim, marked with what appeared to be invasion plans dating back 50,000 years. These aren't Verax symbols, Nathan said, studying the ancient markings. And look at the dates. These are from before the Verax civilization even existed. His assistant's face paled. Are you saying? The Verax were running from something. Nathan finished. Something that might still be out there. He immediately sent a priority message to the Joint Human Concordat Command. This discovery could change everything. Meanwhile, on the former Verax worlds, a new era had begun. With help from human advisors, the population established independent governments. The transition hadn't been easy. Centuries of imperial rule had left deep cultural scars, but progress was steady. In orbit around the Verax homeworld, the Defiance maintained its watch. General Carter, now promoted to oversee security for the entire sector, looked out at the planet below. Hard to believe it's only been a year, he said to Lieutenant Brooks, who had served with him since the first days of the invasion. Even harder to believe how much has changed, she replied. We went from a species confined to one system to a major galactic power. Carter nodded. The Concordat historians say it's unprecedented. No species has ever advanced this quickly. What do you think happens next? Brooks asked. Before Carter could answer, an urgent communication came through. Dr. Collins' discovery in the archives. As he read the report, his expression grew serious. It seems we might have an even greater challenge ahead, he said. And if there's one thing we've learned, it's that humans thrive on challenges, Brooks finished. Thousands of light years away, beyond the edge of the galaxy, something ancient stirred. Sensors that had monitored this region for 50 millennia detected new activities in the sectors once controlled by the Verax. The great hibernation was ending. Soon, they would return to the galaxy they had fled long ago. And they would find it change, protected by a species that had turned the ruins of an empire into the foundation of something greater. The combined human and Concordat fleets gathered at the edge of the Verax home system. Over 300 ships formed a massive armada, the largest military force assembled in this part of the galaxy in 10,000 years. Admiral Kyle Peterson stood on the bridge of the flagship Freedom, Looking at the tactical display, the Verax homeworld glowed red on the screen, surrounded by defense platforms and warships. Final reports from all ships, his second-in-command announced. All systems ready. The Concordat vessels are in position. Kyle nodded. 6 months of planning had led to this moment. After the alliance with the Concordat was formed, human and alien engineers had worked together to combine their technologies. The result was a new kind of warfare that neither could have achieved alone. Signal from the Concordat flagship, the communications officer said. Ambassador Nixbar wishes to speak with you. The ambassador's face appeared on screen, her skin a determined shade of green. Admiral Peterson, are your ships ready to deploy the Void Fold? Yes, Ambassador. Dr. Kane reports all systems are operational. Then may fortune favor us all. The future of the galaxy rests on this day. The signal ended, and Kyle turned to his crew. Begin the countdown. All ships prepare for Void Fold jump. In her laboratory aboard the science vessel Horizon, Dr. Allison King made final adjustments to the equipment. The Void Fold technology was humanity's greatest achievement, a way to create temporary pockets in space-time, allowing ships to move instantly from one location to another without using normal space. Nanite swarms are primed, she reported to Admiral Peterson. They're programmed to target Verax weapon systems only. Civilian infrastructure will remain intact. Good, Peterson replied. We're not here for vengeance, just justice. The countdown reached 0. Across the human fleet, Void Fold generators activated. Space itself seemed to ripple and tear. Then, in an instant, the entire fleet vanished. On the Verax homeworld, Emperor Krelvac stood in his fortress, watching the approaching Concordat ships. His spies had warned him of the alliance with humans, but he remained confident. His world was protected by the most powerful defense grid in the known galaxy. And if things went badly, he had one final option: the ancient weapon buried beneath his palace. The Concordat fleet has stopped at the outer defense perimeter, his general reported. They appear to be waiting. Waiting for what? The Emperor demanded. His answer came as alarms blared across the command center. Suddenly, human ships appeared throughout the Verax defensive grid, not approaching from outside, but simply materializing within the defense perimeter. Impossible, the general shouted. No ship can penetrate the shield grid. But the humans hadn't gone through the shields. They had folded space itself, bypassing the defenses entirely. Across the Verax fleet, weapon systems suddenly failed as invisible nanite swarms infiltrated their ships. Defense platforms went dark. Communication systems stopped working. On the bridge of the Freedom, Admiral Peterson watched the Verax defenses collapse. Begin Phase 2. All ground teams deploy. Captain Grace Williams led the Special Forces team that materialized inside the Imperial Palace. Their mission was simple but crucial: stop the Emperor from activating the Doomsday device that could destroy the entire system. Stay tight, she told her squad as they moved through the ornate corridors. According to Concordat intelligence, the device control room is 3 levels down. They encountered heavy resistance as they pushed deeper into the palace. Verax royal guards fought fiercely, but the human team had trained for this mission for months. As they reached the lower levels, Grace discovered a sealed vault. Using Concordat decryption technology, they broke through the security systems. Inside, they found not just the control panel for the Doomsday device, but something else. Records dating back thousands of years. Captain, one of her team called out. You need to see this. The ancient records were clear. The Verax had encountered human-like species before, on worlds across the galaxy, and they had destroyed them all, one by one, over thousands of years. They knew, Grace whispered. They knew exactly what they were doing when they attacked Earth. As her team secured the Doomsday device, Grace transmitted the records to the fleet above. Now they understood the full truth. The Verax hadn't just broken the rule about not disturbing humans. They had been systematically eliminating potential rivals for galactic dominance for millennia, and humanity had been their final target. The Concordat diplomatic vessel approached the human fleet with caution. Its shields were down, weapons systems offline, universal signals of peaceful intent. Still, a dozen human fighters escorted it to the meeting point near the liberated world of Renki Prime. Inside the grand meeting room of the Defiance, General Carter and Commander Martinez waited. The ship's security team stood alert as the airlock opened. Ambassador Nix Var stepped through, her 4 eyes blinking in the bright light. She looked remarkably like her ancestor who had first discovered Earth, with green-blue skin that shifted colors with her emotions. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," she said in perfect English. "We've been curious about the Concordat," General Carter replied. "You've watched our war with the Verax, but never intervened." Nix Var nodded. "There is much to explain. May I?" She gestured to a data device in her hand. Lieutenant Ben Rogers, the human technology expert, scanned it and nodded. Ambassador Nix Var placed it on the table, and a holographic display filled the room. It showed Earth, centuries ago. 300 years ago, my ancestor discovered your world, she began. What he found fascinated and terrified the Concordat. The hologram showed human history, wars, technological leaps, artistic achievements, acts of both cruelty and compassion. "We recognize something unique in humans," Nix Var continued. "What we call the catalyst species." "A what?" Martins asked. "A species that advances most rapidly when faced with challenges. Where most species seek stability, humans thrive on adversity. You innovate when threatened. You unite when attacked." Her skin shifted to a deep blue. The do not disturb policy wasn't from fear. It was from respect. Carter's eyes narrowed. "You were testing us." "Observing," Nix Var corrected. "We believe that interference would only slow your natural development." A hologram shifted to show the Verax homeworld. "What you don't know is that the Verax were once part of the Concordat. They broke away a century ago, believing that domination rather than cooperation was the path forward." Martinez leaned forward. "So when they attacked Earth, they violated our most important directive regarding your species," Nix Var confirmed. "But there's more you should know." The hologram changed again, showing dozens of star systems beyond human-controlled space. "Your hidden colonies, your technological advances. We knew about most of them." Rogers stood up abruptly. "That's impossible. Our stealth tech is impressive," Nix Var agreed. "But the Concordat has been spacefaring for 50,000 years. Very little escapes our notice." "Why tell us this now?" Carter demanded. "Because you've changed the equation. Your alliance with the former Verax slave species, your rapid dismantling of their empire, it creates a power vacuum in this sector of the galaxy." Nix Var's skin shifted to purple, a color humans hadn't seen before. "And because we believe you're now ready for the truth." Martinez's eyes narrowed. "Which is?" "Your species has developed technologies we thought impossible." The hologram showed human phase shift ships, weapons that targeted specific biological systems, and something that made Rogers gasp, a prototype device being developed on New Eden. "That's classified," he whispered. "How do you know about our space-time manipulator?" "As I said, we've been watching," Nix Var replied. "What you call phase shift technology is the first step towards something much greater. The ability to alter the fabric of reality itself." Carter and Martinez exchanged looks. "What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador?" "An alliance, not like your arrangement with the former slave species, a true partnership. The Concordat can offer you knowledge accumulated over 50 millennia. In return, we ask that you work with us rather than against us in rebuilding this sector." "And the Verax?" Martins asked. "They must be stopped," Nix Var said firmly. "Their emperor has activated ancient weapons we thought destroyed ages ago. Weapons that could threaten all life in this sector. The room fell silent as the humans processed this information. Finally, Carter spoke. "We'll need to discuss this with our full council, but I think we can all agree on one thing. The Verax Empire must fall." Nixvar's skin lightened to a calm blue. "Then perhaps we understand each other after all." Commander Olivia Martinez stood in the meeting room of the Defiance, looking at the strange group gathered around the table. 3 different alien species sat opposite her team, their appearances wildly different from humans and from each other. One had blue skin and 4 arms. Another looked like a tall praying mantis. The third had fur covering its entire body and large, intelligent eyes. "Let me understand," Martinez said. "You want to join forces with us against the Verax?" The blue-skinned alien nodded. "I am Zaltor of the Renki. The Verax have controlled our homeworld for 2 centuries. They take our resources and our people for labor. Same with the Volari," clicked the mantis-like being. 3 generations of slavery." Major Eric Barnes, Martinez's security chief, leaned forward. "And you think we can help you?" "We've seen what humans can do," said the furry alien, who called itself Kerr. "Your ships appeared from nowhere and defeated Verax fleets that have terrorized us for generations. We want that freedom too." Martinez exchanged looks with her officers. The human counterattack against the Verax had been going well. Earth was now protected by a defensive line of phase-shift ships. Mars and the Moon were back under human control, but pushing deeper into Verax territory would be harder. "What can you offer us?" she asked. "Intelligence," said Zaltor. "We know the Verax Empire inside and out. Their defenses, their supply lines, their weak points. Resources," added the Volari. "Our world has metals your ships need. And fighters," Kyer said. "Many of us are willing to die for freedom." Martinez nodded slowly. "I'll need to discuss this with the other human commanders." Later, in a private communication with General Carter and the other colony leaders, Martinez laid out the proposal. "It's risky," said Governor Frank Delgado from New Eden. "We know nothing about these species." "But they know everything about the Verax," Carter replied. "That knowledge could save countless human lives." Dr. Hannah Wells, the chief scientist from Artemis Station, spoke up. "There's another benefit. I've been studying the alien technology we've captured. With help from species who understand it, we could advance our own tech significantly." After hours of debate, they reached a decision. The alliance was formed. Within weeks, the results were clear. With intelligence from the Renki, human ships struck key Verax supply depots. Volari engineers helped improve human weapons to better target Verax vulnerabilities. Kyer scouts slipped behind enemy lines, gathering crucial information. In her lab aboard the research vessel Horizon, Dr. Wells worked with alien scientists, combining technologies in ways neither had imagined before. "This targeting system," she said to her Renki assistant, "if we combine it with our phase shift tech." The Renki's eyes widened. The Verax command ships would be defenseless. Together, they created weapons capable of disabling Verax vessels without destroying them. The Alliance liberated a dozen worlds in rapid succession. On each planet, the story was the same. The oppressed rose up as human ships appeared in the skies. On the Concordat homeworld, the Council watched these events with growing concern. The humans were not just defending themselves, they were dismantling the Verax Empire piece by piece. "This changes the balance of power in the galaxy," said a younger council member. "Should we step in now?" Elder Moros stroked his long beard thoughtfully. "Perhaps it is time to speak with these humans directly. Not to stop them, but to understand them." Ambassador Nixvar, descendant of the commander who had first discovered Earth centuries ago, rose from her seat. "I volunteer to approach them. My ancestor understood humans better than anyone. Perhaps that knowledge is in my blood." The council debated briefly, then agreed. A Concordat ship would approach the human fleet with an offer of dialogue. As Nixvar prepared for her mission, she studied everything known about humans. One phrase appeared repeatedly in her ancestors' notes: "Humans grow stronger through adversity." Looking at reports of human victories against the vastly larger Verax forces, she wondered if the galaxy was ready for just how strong humanity had become. 6 months after Earth's fall, the Verax had settled into their new conquest. Mining operations dotted the asteroid belt. Military bases covered the moon's surface. Huge ships hovered above Earth's major cities, reminding the surviving humans of their new place in the galaxy. Admiral Krell stood on the bridge of his flagship in orbit around Mars. Reports from across the system showed that resistance had been crushed. Humans were surprisingly adaptable workers once broken. The Emperor would be pleased. "Admiral," his second-in-command approached. "We've lost contact with Outpost 7 in the Proxima Centauri system." Krell frowned. "A communication malfunction, surely." "That's what we thought, sir. But we've also lost contact with the mining colony in the Tau Ceti sector and the research station at Epsilon Eridani." Before Krell could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. A junior officer shouted, "Multiple ships appearing near Jupiter's orbit, sir. They're not using any known jump points." "Impossible," Krell growled. "There are no human ships left." The main screen showed the area around Jupiter. Where empty space had been moments before, 20 sleek vessels now appeared, their hulls reflecting the distant sun. They weren't like any human ships Krell had seen before. "Verax vessels," came a human voice over the communication system. "This is General Daniel Carter of the Free Human Alliance. You have 6 hours to surrender and leave our system. After that, we will show no mercy." Krell laughed. "Send the 4th battle group to destroy them. These humans never learn." The Verax battle group moved into position, 12 massive warships against the smaller human vessels. But as they opened fire, something strange happened. Their energy weapons passed right through the human ships as if they weren't there. "Phase shift technology," General Carter said to his weapons officer aboard the lead ship Defiance. "Dr. Foster's greatest invention." The human fleet's weapons, however, were very real. Blue energy beams sliced through the first Verax ship, cutting it in half. The others soon followed, unable to target what they couldn't hit. At the same time, across the galaxy, coordinated attacks struck Verax outposts in 3 different sectors. On a Verax colony world, defense systems suddenly failed as specialized weapons targeted their neural networks. In a space station near the Verax homeworld, all communications went dark. In the Great Hall of the Concordat on Nexus Prime, the Council watched these events unfold with shock. Monitoring systems showed human ships appearing in places they shouldn't be, using technology the Concordat had thought impossible. "They were out there all along," Elder Moros said quietly. "Watching, waiting, learning." One of the younger council members turned to him. "Should we intervene? The Verax are requesting our help." Elder Moros shook his head. The rule was clear: don't disturb the humans. The Verax made their choice. Back in the Sol system, Admiral Krell watched in horror as reports came in from across Verax territory. Human ships had appeared near every major Verax outpost. Their weapons targeted Verax biology specifically, disabling soldiers without harming infrastructure. Their ships could appear and disappear at will, using some form of technology the Verax couldn't counter. "How is this possible?" he demanded. They were confined to one system. On the bridge of the Defiance, General Carter watched as Mars was liberated. The human colonists who had been forced to work in Verax mines emerged, cheering as human soldiers landed. "The Verax never understood," Carter said to his officers. "Humanity wasn't confined to the Sol system. We chose to appear that way." In orbit around Earth, phase shift fighters appeared around the Verax command ships. Dr. Michelle Foster watched from her research vessel as her special weapons disrupted the Verax neural pathways, leaving them paralyzed but alive. "Begin evacuation of Earth's cities," she ordered. "The Verax reinforcements will arrive within 2 weeks." But what the humans didn't know was that the Verax Emperor had already called for help. Not from his own fleets, but from the Concordat. Surely they wouldn't let humans upset the balance of power in the galaxy. The Emperor's message reached the Concordat Council chambers. Elder Moros read it, and then, slowly, deleted it without responding. They should have followed the rule, he said. The research vessel Pathfinder drifted silently in the darkness of deep space, 100 light-years from Earth. Inside, Chief Engineer Ryan Ellis stared at the message that had just arrived via the quantum receiver. "This can't be real," he whispered. His hand shook as he read it again. Earth had fallen. The solar system was under attack by something called the Verax Imperium. He rushed through the ship's narrow corridors to the command deck. Commander Olivia Martinez looked up as Ryan burst through the door. "We just received a priority Omega signal," he said, breathless. "From Europa." Olivia's face went pale. Protocol Omega was only to be used if Earth faced extinction. The crew gathered around as she played the message. Dr. Kevin Russell's face appeared on screen, smoke and alarms visible behind him. "This is Dr. Kevin Russell of Europa Station," he said. "The solar system is under attack by an alien force known as the Verax Imperium. Earth's defenses have fallen. Mars is under siege. This message contains all data we have on the enemy, plus all research from Project Dawn. Find the others. Prepare. Survive. Remember." The message cut off abruptly. "It's dated 3 days ago," Ryan said softly. Commander Martinez looked around at her crew of 30. The Pathfinder was one of humanity's best-kept secrets, a deep space research vessel sent out 50 years ago. But they weren't the only ones. "Send the signal to the other outposts," she ordered. "All channels. Use the emergency codes." For 200 years, humanity had quietly sent small expeditions beyond their solar system. These missions were kept secret even from most of Earth's population, just in case something like this happened, just in case Earth fell. Across the vast emptiness of space, other humans received the message. On a small mining colony orbiting a red dwarf star, Governor Frank Delgado called an emergency meeting. On Research Station Artemis 7, Dr. Karen Wilson woke her crew from cryosleep. On the agricultural world nicknamed New Eden, Mayor Peter Collins ordered their small fleet of ships to prepare for war. Humanity had been more patient, more cautious than anyone realized. They had spread thin tendrils across nearby stars, establishing footholds in case of disaster. Each colony was designed to be self-sufficient. Each had been given advanced technology not yet deployed in the home system. Just in case. 3 weeks after receiving the message, Commander Martinez stood on the bridge of the Pathfinder as ships from a dozen human colonies gathered. Their designs were different, some sleek and fast, others bulky and powerful. All had been built in secret, far from prying eyes. "Status report," Martinez called out. Ryan checked his console. 27 ships have arrived. 5 more expected within the day. New Eden reports their prototype weapons are ready for installation. Martinez nodded. The Pathfinder's view screen showed the assembling fleet. It wasn't large by the standards of great space empires, but it had something the Verax wouldn't expect. Human ingenuity pushed to its limits. "The data from Europa Station confirms what we feared," Martinez told the gathered ship captains via hologram. "The Verax believe they've conquered all of humanity. They don't know about us." "What's the plan?" asked Captain Diane Foster of the heavy cruiser Retribution. "First, we gather intelligence," Martinez replied. "Then we strike where they least expect it." She pulled up images of the Verax ships attacking Earth. The aliens were powerful, but their tactics showed arrogance. They hadn't expected resistance. They hadn't needed to innovate. "They broke the one rule everyone in the galaxy knew," Martinez said, her voice hardening. "Don't disturb the humans." She turned to her communications officer. "Send a message to all colonies. Operation Lazarus is now active." Across the gathering fleet, lights dimmed as ships diverted power to their new stealth systems. In engineering compartments, crews loaded weapons that had never been used in actual combat. In command centers, officers studied the Verax data, looking for weaknesses. The Verax had awakened something they didn't understand. They thought they had conquered a primitive species confined to one solar system. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 300 years passed. The Concordat grew and spread across half the galaxy. The warning about Earth became almost a legend among the 17 species. Some young ones even joked about it. What could be so special about these humans? In the dark regions beyond Concordat space, another power watched and waited. The Verax Imperium had heard the stories too. Their emperor, a massive being with gray skin and 6 arms, laughed at such tales. Superstitious nonsense, he told Admiral Krell, his most trusted commander. A whole system, rich with resources, left untouched because of fear. Admiral Krell bowed low. His red armor gleamed in the dim light of the throne room. The scouts report the humans have expanded only to their 4th planet. Their technology is primitive compared to ours. Then it is time, the Emperor said. Claim the Earth system for the Imperium. Show me what these feared humans can do against real power. Admiral Krell smiled, revealing sharp teeth. It will be done, my Emperor. On Mars colony, Colonel Jack Harper watched the cadets train in the low-gravity dome. Earth glowed blue and green in the sky outside. Humanity had spread throughout their solar system over the centuries. The moon housed 5 million people. Mars had 3 thriving cities with 2 million colonists. Mining operations dotted the asteroid belt. Research stations orbited Jupiter and Saturn. Sir, Lieutenant Samantha Brooks rushed into the training area. We're picking up something strange at the edge of the system. Jack frowned. Define strange, Lieutenant. Multiple objects, sir. Big ones. Moving fast toward Earth. They're not ours. Jack's blood ran cold. For generations, Earth's governments had theorized about alien life. They had built defenses, just in case. But most people thought it was a waste of resources. Sound the alarm, he ordered. Contact Earth Defense Command. But it was already too late. The Verax fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel just beyond the moon. 50 massive warships, each one dwarfing humanity's largest vessels. Without warning, they opened fire. The orbital defense platforms around Earth exploded one by one. Cities on the moon went dark as energy weapons carved deep holes in the lunar surface. The few human military ships in the area fought back bravely, but they were hopelessly outmatched. From the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Krell watched with satisfaction. Send the message, he commanded. On every screen and communication device across Earth and its colonies, the same image appeared. Admiral Krell's alien face. People of Earth, he said in perfect English, his intelligence officers having studied human broadcasts for years. Your planet now belongs to the Verax Imperium. Surrender immediately, or we will destroy your cities one by one. On Mars, Colonel Harper gathered what forces he could. We need to buy time, he told his officers. Get the civilian ships to the emergency shelters in the deep colonies. Lieutenant Brooks shook her head. Even if we use every ship and weapon we have, sir, we can't stop them. We don't need to stop them, Jack replied grimly. We just need to hurt them. At a hidden research facility beneath Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, Dr. Kevin Russell watched the data feeds in horror. For decades, this facility had worked on humanity's most advanced technologies, hidden from public knowledge. We need to activate Protocol Omega, he told his team. Everything we've learned, everything we've built, send it now. His assistant looked up, face pale. The quantum beacon, but we've never tested it at that range. If we don't, everything dies with us, Kevin said as he typed commands into the main console. There are others out there, beyond what the public knows. They need to know what happened here. The quantum beacon hummed to life, its energy building. In orbit above Europa, Verax ships descended, weapons charging. Transmission complete, Kevin said as the facility shook from the first impacts. May they remember us. As Mars colony fell to the invaders, the quantum signal raced outward, faster than light, carrying humanity's legacy and a simple message: Earth has fallen. The enemy is the Verax Imperium. We are not alone. We will not be the last. In the darkness between distant stars, something received the signal. Something human. And it began to wake up. The stars twinkled against the endless black of space as the Concordat scout ship slid silently into the outer reaches of the Sol system. On the bridge, Commander Zixvar's 4 eyes narrowed as the yellow sun and its orbiting planets appeared on the main screen. "So this is where they live," he whispered. His skin shifted from green to a curious blue, reflecting his excitement. For decades, the Galactic Concordat had picked up strange radio signals from this system. They had watched and listened as the primitive species called humans evolved from burning fossil fuels to achieving their first steps into space. The Concordat, an alliance of 17 advanced alien species, had strict protocols for first contact. But these humans were different. "Begin full scan of the third planet," Zixvar ordered. His second in command, a tall insectoid being named Krell, clicked her mandibles in acknowledgement. Back on Earth, Captain Alan Shepard stood on the observation deck of Lunar Base Alpha, staring at the stars. Earth hung like a blue marble in the distance. The year was 2237, and humanity had finally established permanent colonies on the Moon and Mars. It wasn't much compared to the dreams in old science fiction stories, but it was a start. "Beautiful view, isn't it?" Dr. Lisa Mitchell joined him, her dark hair floating slightly in the moon's low gravity. "Gets better every time," Alan replied. "Any updates on those strange energy readings?" Lisa handed him a tablet. "They're back. Stronger this time. Something's out there at the edge of our system, Alan." Alan studied the data with a frown. After 20 years in the United Earth Navy, he had learned to trust his instincts. And right now, they were telling him they were being watched. Aboard the Concordat vessel, the results of the scan flowed in. Zixvar and the team of xenobiologists reviewed the data with growing concern. "Their psychological profile is troubling," said Dr. Thex, the lead researcher. "They show extreme adaptability and creativity, yes, but their history is filled with violence against their own kind." "What happens when they're threatened by outsiders?" Zixvar asked. Thex's ears flattened against his head. Based on their literature, historical records, and behavioral patterns, they unite against external threats with remarkable efficiency. They are tenacious. "You mean dangerous," Krell clicked. "Perhaps," Thex admitted, "but they also show compassion, sacrifice, and a drive to explore that rivals the pioneers of Axlon." The debate raged for days as the ship maintained its hidden position. Finally, Zixvar made his decision and called an emergency meeting of the Concordat Council. Hundreds of light years away, the council gathered. Representatives from all 17 species met in the Great Chamber on Nexus Prime, the Concordat's capital world. "The humans of Earth represent a unique case," Zixvar's hologram explained to the assembled leaders. "They are advancing quickly, but remain confined to their solar system. Their potential is enormous, but so is their capacity for violence when threatened." High Elder Moros, the oldest and wisest of the council, leaned forward. "What do you propose, Commander?" "I believe we should classify Earth as a do not disturb zone. No contact, no interference. Let them develop on their own path." Protests erupted around the chamber. This was unprecedented. The Concordat's purpose was to guide younger species, to welcome them into the galactic community. Silence. Elder Moros raised a gnarled hand. "Commander Zixvar, explain your reasoning." "The humans are different from any species we've encountered. They learn through struggle. They grow stronger through adversity. If we interfere now, we may stunt their potential, or worse, trigger a response we cannot predict." After much debate, the council voted. The decision was made. Earth would be classified as a restricted zone, the first in Concordat history. As the council adjourned, Elder Moros approached Zixfar's hologram. "I hope you're right about this, Commander." "As do I," Zixfar replied. "The directive will be issued today to all Concordat species and our allies. The rule is clear: don't disturb the humans." Meanwhile, on Lunar Base Alpha, Alan Shepard stared at Lisa Mitchell's latest findings. The strange energy signatures had vanished as suddenly as they had appeared. "What do you think it means?" Lisa asked. Alan shook his head. "I don't know, but something tells me we're not alone out here anymore." He had no idea how right he was, or what would happen when someone eventually broke the rule.